When did you start with your father's business of wine?
When I was 14.
When you were 14?
Yes.
You had like, how different was it, the approach from the one that you share in your book or you recommend in your book of, like, for example, if you have a roofing business that you do it in secret? Was it kind of like that, but obviously in another era or in another?
Yeah. You mean in convincing my father to do things?
Yeah, like you started doing things in secret to help the business, or was it like
it was. I would say this, to my father's credit, he supported a lot. I earned that in the first 2 years. The first 2 years I worked my face off. I'm 14, 15, 16. I'm working 12 hours a day. And then I'm selling wine at 16. And you have a young face. I used to.
He has a young face.
He's the number one. Dustin's number one. We're pointing to Dustin, who's fucking 40 and looks like he's 25. But when I was 15, I looked 7. When I was 19, I was 13. So at that point in my life, I looked even younger than I was. So I was 15, looking 11, and people are coming in and buying alcohol.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm like, oh, you should buy this. You should buy. The great sadness of my life is there's no footage of this.
Yeah.
It has to be ridiculous. So I gained my dad's trust on being good in the first couple years. And then by the time I'm 16, 17, he just trusts. And he said yes to most things. And the things he said no to, I did them out of his vision and then showed him it worked and did it.
We're now in VaynerMedia.
Yes.
VaynerMedia was a consequence of this wine store, and your YouTube career or your social media career was a consequence of VaynerMedia, or how was the chronology?
Yes, I started doing YouTube in 2006, right when it came out, February 2006. It came out in 2005, mid-2005. So within the first year, it exploded. I was good at it. It worked. It helped the business. And then Twitter came out, and I was fast on Twitter, and then Facebook. And so my career was always about marketing, but this was the era of 2006 where it was about personal marketing. That gave me leverage to have people interested in me, which allowed me to listen to the market and know they needed my skills to do what I was doing for my father's business, but for the biggest companies in the world. And so VaynerMedia came out of me being a marketer for my dad's business, but realizing that it was going to become the most important marketing in the world, and that Starbucks and Nike and BMW were going to need it.
Yeah. It's incredible the difference between the marketing right now and in the 70s and 80s, I know you said...
Even in the early 2000s.
Like, it's so much complicated right now.
Oh, I wish I could be Don Draper.
Yeah.
I wish I could come up... I have a lot of ideas. You have ideas.
Yeah, sure.
Going into a room and selling someone on believing in my idea would have been the best. And then going in the middle of the day and getting a cocktail and becoming... I would have been the best.
Or having this sense of stability that that these ideas could maybe work in 6 months.
I mean, it was unbelievable. What we're in now, the merit, where the math shows you if you were good at creative or not because of the algorithms, that's a different game. But luckily, I've been training for this game for over a decade, so we're in a good position. Do
you think the reward is as well exponentially bigger right now?
Yeah, I do. It's also potentially very low cost.
Yeah, that's crazy.
One clip from this for you could result in doubling your audience.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. What advice would you give me? I have this podcast called Creativo. I have found success in Mexico.
I'm aware.
I'm over 500 episodes in this podcast, but I want to start breaking the American media. I already have my working visa. I'm going to come to the States probably next year. And
you don't have to give advice to somebody that knows what to do. You're doing it right now.
Just knock on doors
we are in you breaking into the U.S. market.
You're my first guest in English, which is an honor.
We are in the moment right now. This is the meta of you executing on your vision. You're no dummy. Yeah. You didn't get here by accident. Me saying yes to this interview, you're going to leverage that to completely penetrate the entire market.
I appreciate your yes, by the way.
I was happy to do it. I go back to intuition. I get a lot of these. Something just smelled right.
How do you continue to find interest in this career? Because you've done it for so long.
Because I have interest in building the building.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because you describe yourself as a serial entrepreneur. And that tells me that you are in love with the game. You're also a serial social media creator because you're contextual with the way you express yourself in different platforms. Have you fallen in love with the social media game similarly to the entrepreneurship game?
Yeah.
Or is it part of the big game?
I think it started as being part of the big game, but I think I love the craft of it as well. I was always aware that if I built a personal brand, that would be a leverage point for growth. It's called, I love when people are like, oh, so personal brand, it's so yucky. I'm like, reputation?
Yeah.
People get so caught up in words. I knew having a big and good reputation would be good for business. Go figure. So I think it started off as me knowing that it would be valuable for my entrepreneurial career, but I think I now enjoy the craft of the creativity, the science, the strategy, similar to the way I enjoy being an entrepreneur. I'm also very interesting. I probably love being COO as much as I love being CEO.
Okay.
So one of my shortcomings, potentially, is that I spend too much time being COO because I love operations too.
Yeah.
I enjoy all of it.
Yeah, I have the same problem. I really love the creative process and the technical process of this podcast, but you only have so much hours and you only have so much willpower.
No matter how fucking amazing you are and no matter how many hours. That's right.
I also like that by dedicating yourself to build like this personal brand in a way, you also incentivize yourself to build a better you. Like you not only grow professionally, but you also grow personally with each new experience. That makes it like addictive. Like for me, I sometimes live experiences for the podcast which is my way of verbalizing my interest. But for me, it's actually like this virtuous cycle of
100%.
I get better to perform better, so I get better to perform better. Huh?
I'm a buyer of that.
Yeah. How about physical health? You're also in really good health. Does that come into the equation of the business performance?
No, I think that's more about life.
Okay.
I don't think I'm in good health because I want to work forever, though I want to work forever. It's more that I don't want to die. I love life so much. Work is a big part of that, but I also love my leisure. I love my family.
Yeah.
I love I think the health is not the driver of business. Though one of my favorite clips of me on the internet is a kid asking me, Gary, how do you factor health into your business? And my answer was, I was walking in the Super Bowl and I said to him, well, if you're dead, you're out of business. And I've always laughed about that, and it came very natural. It was a fun improv moment, but I think I do health because I'd like to see my grandchildren. Like I want to live. Why wouldn't, if you like life, why wouldn't you want to live as long as possible?
Yeah.
And I think some of us have such passion for what we do. Like I feel like if I was out of shape and not as healthy, I would still have the adrenaline and the passion to work as much.
Yeah.
I just don't think I would live as long. And I prefer to live longer.
Yeah, sure, I agree. How do you talk to yourself, like in private? Like, for example, I'm
often.
Yeah, but
constantly.
What's like the tone? Like,
it's a love affair.
Yeah.
It's a love affair in the way that I think I talk to the world. I think the way you see me show up is what's going on with me too, which is I'm like, if I'm a cheerleader for Dustin, well, of course I'm a cheerleader to myself. But I'm also telling myself, like, I enjoy a good. This actually happened very recently, maybe this week, or was it last week? I was in the bathroom in our office. I was thinking about something. I got to the mirror, washed my hands, and I look at myself, and I razzed myself. Like literally physically looked at myself. I'm like, don't be a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It's like fun. I have a very nice relationship with myself. And it is actually it's one of my deepest sadness that I know so many don't.
Yeah, you need to know how to talk to yourself and how do you respond to certain kinds of tones. Like I talk to myself like a boxer, like if I'm my own coach, because I respond
well to that.
Yeah, I respond well to that, but there are some people that
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes I'm my father to myself, sometimes I'm my cheerleader, sometimes I'm my guidance coach or there's a lot of versions, but all of it is so warm and well intended.
Yeah.